So I've been thinking, there's so many different things going on in today's social media and the reality of the world that it's like, what topic do you concentrate on? And I kept thinking about it in the evenings before I would fall asleep, and I would think, is the actual specific thing, like let's say the Epstein files, Ukraine, what's going on with the Macrons in France, the issues everywhere going socially in the world, and the policing of little social aspects that eventually turn against good citizens. Are those the important little aspects to talk about when everybody's covering it? And I think there's extremely great valid points in picking up and having the ability to just digest and understand every little thing. Everything that people will consider conspiracy theories to just logical understandings of what's going on politically and socially within your own little cultural bubbles. And it's really important because I believe whether it was biblically predicted, whether it was predicted through seers like Nostradamus, or other spiritual teachings, that something is building up and something is coming. You know, we had a lot of scientists in the 50s and 60s that were brought over from Germany during World War II that built up our entire scientific community here in a lot of different fields. And in some of these, there were future sayings that there would be things like Project Bluebeam, which would create a sort of artificial UFO invasion. And we've been having a lot of things occurring lately, along with interstellar objects flying into our solar system that have been slowly raising the concern of alien invasions, along with astronomers saying that. Now, of course, not all of them, but certain aspects in media, maybe it's my algorithm I'm looking at, but they're bringing up these scary tactics or scare tactics that lead to a certain type of outcome. A certain type of outcome that also seems to be in the wants of people that pushed ideas during the pandemic. A certain type of inoculation that would help and save everybody. A certain type of one world government that knew what was best for everybody. There's always these slight suggestions. And I keep looking around in my cultural bubble, in my community, and all I can see is chaos lately. Nothing is being done about issues like shoplifting. And in the long run, it's just affecting the regular average citizen because prices are going up. And people always say, well, insurance will cover it. Insurance doesn't just cover it. And sure, it'll cover it for the time being for a grocery store, but eventually that trickles down. Insurance isn't a money loss game. Insurance is in it for the profit, and they're not going to lose, and the stores aren't going to lose, and the government's not going to lose. So what is going on with all of this chaos? What is going on with these UFO threats? What's going on with the Epstein pedophilia type of accusations going on in the world? The absolute chaos when it comes to Ukraine and Israel and what's going on in Palestine. And all I can think of is that all of this chaos is leading towards and forcing its way towards some manufactured harmony. Now, if you're into geometry, if you're into spirituality, there's always this saying or this idea that out of chaos comes harmony. But the kind of manufactured chaos we're dealing with today seems to be leading towards a manufactured harmony. For example, people drive crazy, speed down freeways going 120 miles an hour. And that's from me witnessing people flying by me on the freeway, and they don't get tickets. And all of a sudden, in areas like San Francisco, this great, magnificent California government suggests, hey, we should install cameras to solve this problem. It doesn't solve a problem. It just generates wealth for the government. The same government that did nothing or practically was incapable and led by violently ignorant people during the Palisades fires. These Palisades fires result in the government owning or buying up that land for relatively cheap to install housing that they pay for that essentially will be affordable. But what does that all mean? That means that the government controls everything. It'll control what you have to say and what you have to do. And unfortunately, that ends up being that 1980s apocalyptic view of the world where Big Brother is watching everything. Now in Europe, I don't know if you know what's going on there, but in places like Germany and the UK, they create these laws that if you say something on the internet, you can be put in prison or be fined. all because you hurt someone's feelings or you affected them emotionally. And it's all of this manipulation at pulling at heartstrings and emotions that's really a diabolical thing. I think in today's world where social media is people's only outlet into reality, especially our younger generations, they can't relate to really what struggle is or what hardship is and what builds character. And they're so willing to gradually give up their rights so that their emotions don't get affected negatively. And I think unfortunately for them, they're going to have a harsh reality in the future, because I have a feeling that the government has been taking so many rights from its citizens that we're not going to be able to fight when the time is needed. I sadly think that the conclusion of what the society is building now is that somehow the only way you and I are going to be eventually be able to make our own living is for everyday citizens to exploit the 7 deadly sins within themselves on social media to be able to make a living. And then we will be virtually judged by our peers and eventually the violently ignorant government that governs us. It's a scary time right now to see all of this chaos happening. And I don't think out of this chaos, we're going to be having any sort of balanced harmony, but a controlled harmony that just stomps on any sort of opposition or whatever it does not want within its culture. And what it does want in its culture is good little soldiers that do as exactly as asked of them, not people that are independent, that are built of character, and that can put up any sort of fight. So my thought for this video is that you as an individual and I should be responsible for ourselves, and we should put in the effort for building character within ourselves so that it reflects within our community and we can be better towards each other. There's something coming, and the only way we can adjust to it is to be ready for it. I don't know what it is, but if there's any fracture within this darkness that's coming, it's going to be within the individual, within the character, within the hard work of each person. Society and life and culture can't go on like this. We can't constantly hate one another for the little differences that we have. And yes, they constantly pretend to tell us that diversity is our strength. Yet at every single turn that we have, whether it's socially, in media, whether it's on newspapers or video or TV or YouTube, it's constantly showing us how much we hate each other and we try to destroy each other. All because of these differences that they tell us are our strengths. And I think, unfortunately, unless we can put aside this diversity and come back to each other as people that want to contribute to one another to make the society whole, we're not going to be able to heal and we're not going to be able to function. And we have to fix this. Let all of this chaos that's happening right now, all of the lies they're telling us right now, to deal with itself and focus on one another. The only way we're going to finish and fight the external is on focusing on the internal.